What up, guys? My name's Toby. I'm a 23-year-old KDP Amazon publisher from West Palm Beach, Florida. And today I'm going to talk to you about how I made my first 100K in Amazon KDP. Now, I want to clarify, we're talking about revenue, not profit. I'll talk about my actual profit numbers in a second. But before we get into all the details, I want to start by saying a quick story to you. I have a buddy named Gavin. Gavin's a young guy like me, just had his first kid. He's like 23 years old, and he got the chance to go out for dinner with a billionaire recently. So this billionaire, let's give him a tie. So the billionaire and him are sitting at the table, and Gavin's like, what's one piece of advice you would give me? Like the number one piece of advice you'd give to like a 23-year-old on how to go from here to here. And you know what the billionaire said? He said one word. And I will tell you that word when we get to the end of this video, because it's going to make a whole lot more sense when we get there. All right, now I want to start by proving to you that I'm not blowing smoke. Here are my lifetime royalties. So I've made 117 grand, $104.68 in like revenue. This is the amount of royalties that have come into my bank account from my Amazon KDP publishing. I started June 14, 2022, and then went through, currently it's July 18, so it's just over 2 years. We've done 117K. What this year has been, I'm just gonna give you some more data so you can have an accurate view of like what's to be expected. This year we've done about 46 grand, and we're just past halfway through the year. Now, what about actual profit totals? Let's take a look at our lifetime ad spend, okay? This will give you a little idea. I spent almost $68,000 in ads. So straight off the bat, you subtract 68 grand from the lifetime of 117 grand. And then I already went through my bookkeeping tracker. I highly recommend having your own books system of some sort. This is a template my sister-in-law actually built. She's a bookkeeper. I might link it below if she lets me. And I checked my whole P&L, and basically I can tell you that from this 117K minus the 67K in ads minus all the other expenses, that lifetime I've had about 34,000 net. 117K revenue became 34 grand in net profit. And also, I realize you're probably thinking 68K or whatever on ads, that's crazy. Just remember that those ads are rolling back into my account every month. So if you spend like 3K here and then you make 5K off of that, then you end up with 3K plus the 2K that you earned in profit. And this month you now have 5 in your bank account, which goes right back into the business. Next month you spend 5, and that's 8K. It's not like I have like 68K sitting around. It just kind of compounds. I did start with an investor. I got 10 grand straight out the gate to try and kickstart my cash flow after I had had a little success with a couple books, but it's not that impossible to have a high ad spend like that. The last thing I want to say is that this year to date, I have done approximately 15K in net profit, which is great news. So here's what this tells me, okay? Because if you're anything like me, when you started publishing, you're like, all right, by month 3, I'm gonna have 10K a month, and then by month 4, I'll be at 40K. It's like, you get this irrational excitement. But what I found was I did a total of 15 net, like in the first 6 months of this year. Then you pair that with what I did at Christmas time. I had 20K approximately of net from December of 2024 or 2023. That's about 35K. So I know I said 34K. We're just giving like rounded up numbers right here, okay? But basically what happened is in my first 1 year of publishing, guess how much I made in net? Basically nothing. I made pennies. And I said in a previous video that it was 3K. I thought I made 25K in revenue, 3K in profit. After I crunched my numbers fully, because I hadn't been keeping my books faithfully, turns out I made 0. I was actually net negative until very recently. So the first year I made nothing. And then from December till now, which is 7 months, I made 35 grand. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. That's actually some kind of money that like you can live on. So it is possible to succeed, but just I wanted to say that because realistically, I thought I was going to succeed super fast in publishing, but a year in, I'd really made $0. This is like your free internship when you're in college, and then year 2 for a lot of people will probably be the time you actually start to see income. All right, let's pick a fun color real quick, because we're gonna switch modes and we're gonna talk about how did I go from $0 in year 1 to what was it, 35 in year 2, or in the first 7 months, or the last 7 months really. Let me explain to you. There's 4 fast but really powerful lessons that I wrote down that I think might help you, especially if you've already got a few books into your publishing journey and you need to get to that next level. They're simple, but they're powerful. So let's get into it. All right, number 1, you need high margins. I'm gonna just go to Amazon KDP and we're gonna peek around for a second at some books, word search books, because this is the first market that I was in. Take a look at the numbers that you see here. What do you see? $7.49, $9.99. There's $14.39. Actually, the list price is $15.99. This one's $5.95, $8.99, $4.95. So this book's a bestseller, right? Let's do a little examining about how good this book actually is doing, because it looks like it's killing it. Top 2K BSR. Paperback, black and white. It's going to be 8.5 by 11 inches, which, by the way, if it's that large, it's more costly than if it's like a smaller trim size, like say 6 by 9. Amazon.com, page count is going to be, what was it, 104, $4.95. The total royalties per sale, after print costs, after everything, 13 cents. Check that out. Estimated royalty, 13 cents. So every time this book makes a sale, how much money do they make? 13 cents. And the problem with that is, how much money in ads do they have to spend to get people to click on this and to buy it? A whole lot more than 13 cents. Now the question is, how do you actually do that? How do you get a high margin? You need to have an incredible offer. Now, what is an offer? The offer is quite literally what I am giving you in exchange for your money. How do you build an offer? Read the book. I highly recommend reading the book. But there's 4 main value drivers, he calls it, which are dream outcome. This is the value equation. This is how you actually tell like what makes something valuable. Dream outcome, meaning like what do I get? And you've got the perceived likelihood of achievement, which means how do I know that I'll get it? What do I get? How do I know that I'll get it? And then on the bottom you've got time. How long will it take me to get my dream outcome? And then the last question is a question of effort and sacrifice. And that's the question of what's it going to cost me. If you know how to maneuver this value equation, then you're going to produce really valuable books that ultimately allow you to price yourself at a high margin. And I don't just mean like more pages, better content. I mean like going way above and beyond and identifying what these people actually are actually looking for when they're trying to buy the book. Because they're not like people when they buy a plane ticket. Are they buying a plane ticket or are they buying the vacation? So we don't want to sell the plane ticket, we want to sell the vacation. We don't want to sell the big screen TV, we want to sell opening day, like NFL kickoff, you're sitting around with your friends, eating Doritos, like sticky fingers from the barbecue sauce on the wings. That's what all the commercials tend to be. It's a visualization of what's to come. And so when you're building your offer, you have to understand how these 4 value drivers work, as Alex Hormozi talks about them, and then focus on selling the vacation, not just the flight. So don't just sell your book, sell what the book does for somebody. 5 free bonuses worth $900 plus included. So technically, I don't think you're allowed to have a module that like explains the monetary value of what you're doing on Amazon KDP, but they clearly haven't gotten flagged for it, so maybe it's okay. I would do your own research though. They've gone above and beyond to answer all these questions that you have here of what do I get? How do I know I'm gonna get it? How long will it take me? Effort and sacrifice, what's it gonna cost me? They've covered all that and they've gone above and beyond, and then they've shown you visually how much you're getting, and they gave you a number. And so ultimately, when you take a look and say, it should cost me $900, but I'm getting it for 23, Heck, you don't even want the book, but you're gonna buy it because it's a steal, okay? So just adding more pages isn't the answer. Communicating in a way that shows the value is. So learn how to communicate, learn how to build an offer and then communicate that offer in a way that helps the audience actually see the value that you are providing. But that's got to start with, and this should be like number 0, make a great book. No substitute for great books. And the only way you're really going to make great books is by deeply understanding your audience, what they actually care about, and then building an offer that appeals to them. That's going to allow you, again, to price at a high margin. Number 3, I learned from Mark Cuban. I took a masterclass by Mark Cuban. By the way, I emailed him. He emailed me back. He said, congrats, 1 word, exclamation point. Pretty cool. I'm such a nerd for saying that. He said in the masterclass, don't buy sales. What do you mean by that? Point number 3 is learn ads, become great at ads, but don't buy sales. For the first year, what I thought running my ads meant was pump up the ad spend and then sales come in, and that's exciting. But then you'd realize at the end of the month that you'd spent $1,000 in ads and you got a total of $1,000 in sales, or even 900. And by sales, I mean revenue, right? You either were, it was like either a wash or a loss. So at that point, is running ads really worth it? For a time, it's totally fine to have a loss. In fact, the first 3 months of a book launch, typically you'll have a loss on your ads. But if all you're doing 6 months into a book's life is spending $1,000 to make $1,000 and you're making 0 net profit, what are you doing? You know? So you got to learn how to run your ads, and you got to learn how to do it without buying sales. That's what Mark Cuban calls buying sales. Paying for sales, but not actually making any profit. And if you have any questions about ads, feel free to put them below. I'll do my best to respond to you. And I think I want to pick purple. I'm going to give you a quick bonus tip. This will be 4A, which is if you want a higher profit margin, build a series of excellent books and run ads to the first one. So build a series. You've probably heard this before, but I didn't really take it that seriously until I was running ads heavily to this one book. It was killing it. Like, that's the book that made me 30 grand in December, 20 grand profit. But it died with that book. Like, people wouldn't be able to keep buying new books after that because that was the first book in the new brand. So what I did was I promptly went out. I went and I published book number 2. And I started running ads heavily to book number 2. And then I started running ads to book number 3. But I realized after a while, book number 1 was the only one that was really converting. The other 2 it was kind of like I was buying sales. You know what I mean? I was making sales, and one of them got to like 2K BSR, but similar to that word search book that we just looked at earlier, it wasn't actually making me money. So what did I do? I decided after like 4 months of trying to make it work that I was going to cut ads to books 2 and 3 and use book 1 as my funnel to the other books. So the beauty of this is if book 1 costs, let's say book 1 makes me, it's between $6.50 and $8. So typically it's 7. On my best book, it's 7 right now. That's the most I could make if I only had 1 book available. But if I make a second book and a third book, what happens if I funnel people, I run ads heavily to the first book, and then after that, they see in my advertising, because I use my A+ content very strategically, oh, there's a series, there's other books kind of similar to this. I like this book. Why don't I go ahead and buy book number 2, which is another $7. And then if they get book number 3, how much is that? Another $7. So the total, this is just a basic concept of lifetime customer value, lifetime value. And that means that they have the potential to earn me $21. Only pay for eyes on the ones that are converting, and then use the ones that are converting to funnel to these ones. Takes off the stress from having to be on ads all day. Just kind of master the ads to the one book that's killing it, and then have those sell-through options so your lifetime value can be higher. All right, it's time to give you the final tip. And this one, I'll tell you the story of the billionaire after this, by the way. But this tip is really important to me because I've talked about it in previous videos, but I've had a lot of health issues. I would say to you, don't do it if you don't want to. That's it. I think life is way too short to grind and hustle for something that you don't really align with. And so if the season of life or the person you are doesn't align with this, maybe you're an artist and you just want to illustrate books, and that doesn't mean you have to quit publishing. But I'll tell you one thing, this year, because of my success in the past year or so, I had a couple opportunities arise. I was offered to do business consulting for a fairly large company that it's like an information company that services brands like Disney and Target and Adobe. They asked me to like help them consult, and I was offered like $150 an hour to just like consult with them. And I said no, because after thinking about it, I spent forever on the proposal. I was like, I just realized this is stressing me out and I don't like it. So I'm not gonna do it. And secondly, I actually was given the opportunity to work with Adobe as a contractor and make word search book for them. But I said no, because same thing, it stressed me out, it was hurting my health, and it wasn't worth it for me. So no more needs to be said. Don't do it if you don't want to. But the door will be open for opportunities if you start to see some success, I can tell you that much. People will pay for your services because KDP skills are very valuable skills. All right, let's finish with the billionaire story. So my buddy Gavin, he's actually a pretty happy guy. Oh, he looks terrifying. Okay, well, he goes to dinner with this billionaire and he asks him, what one thing would you say to a 23-year-old about how to go from where I am to where you are? He said one word, and that one word is perfect for you right now because you just learned some things that could really help you go from, I don't know, maybe year one you did like me, 0K, and you want to have, I guess I'm on pace for close to 60K this year, but let's just call it 55K. You want to make your second year better than year one? This is the word you need to hear right now. And the word is apply. The billionaire said, I only have one word for you. It's to apply the things you learned. So if you enjoyed this video, go and do something about it. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I would love if you subscribe, stick around, and we'll grow together.